is marked or reported over as the Hilula of Rabbi Yosef Tzarfati, very, very famous rabbi at that point in especially during the 1600s, the 17th century. It says, Chacham Yosef Tzarfati niftar lebeit olamo b'yom dalet cheshvan, back in the year 1640. We're talking about already 385 years ago, approximately, seemingly, over there. He was a great rabbi of his time, really, during the 1700s. He was a rabbi of Adrianople, this specific area in itself, and very much part of Turkey, the Safon Ma'arab part of Turkey, and very, very interesting. I think it's bordering Greece to some specific amount of distance, and I think quite near the city of Istanbul, respectively, and very interesting. So much can be said within regards to him. I think we've mentioned him on various occasions before here inside the series, which I recommend everyone to actually look back into here at the moment. He was a very, very great rabbi of that point in time. Remember, Turkey, especially in the 16, 17, 1800s, at that point in time, was a bastion area when it came to Torah flourishing, and especially Torah study. There was like an abundance, many different great yeshivot, Torah centers at that age in time, and very, very important. So he was around at that point in time. He was known, very popular, for a book containing various different sermons in of itself. So let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life. So we know that he seemingly passed away in the year 1640. We're not too sure the exact date when he was born, but it's actually interesting. He was, it's chronicled over here. Much is actually related over within regards to the great rabbi. He was born and to Rav Chaim. Rav Chaim was his father in Adriana. I think this was a place in Turkey, as before, in the northern western part, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And he would learn under the great rabbis of the city. He would visit Eretz Yisrael, bikar be'Eretz Yisrael, v'chazal makom moshvo. Shimesh kedarshan, Populary. He was very, very popular. Let's just say darshan, a rabbi that would give over grandiose sermons, and he was also a moret tzedek, take on various different importances. And he would actually return after being in Eretz Yisrael after a period of time. Now, his books, one of his famous books is Yad Yosef. Yosef. We're going to explore a few highlights of the famous book. Of course, Sipro Yad Yosef Yatzal o B'Venezia. B'Shnat Shin Ayin Vav. So his book, the Yad Yosef, the Hand of Joseph, actually came out, I think, in Venice, if I'm not mistaken. I think just before he passed away, probably around the year 1615 or something like that, so on and so forth. It was, with that, let's say, a very integral time period himself. Nitvas Shuv Lachamoto B'Shnat Hey Tav Samach will be printed later on in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. In that specific year, Hey Tav Samach, I think we're talking over here right at the end of the 17th century, around 1699, 1700, if I'm not mistaken. B'modora hashniya nitvasu haskamot Rabbi Shlomo di Olioreia, Rabbi Moshe Yehuda ben Kolonimos Amsterdam, u'me'et Rabbi Gavriel ben Yehuda Krakow u'metz. So I think there would be various different haskamot in the second printing, especially from who was Rabbi Shlomo ben David Olier, a rabbi we've spoken about before, one of the great Spanish-Portuguese rabbis in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. He was the author of various different important books. Let's just say he actually lived between the years 1637 to 1708. I believe we did record a video about him a few months ago. He was definitely one of the great rabbis of his time in Amsterdam, and he was the author of many different important, let's just say, Torah colossal works, including, I think, the Ilat Ahabim, the Dalzvtaim, Darkei Na'am, Zil Ra'anan, Yad Lashon, Etz Chaim, and Sharshet Gabalet, respectively. So he was the author of many different great works, and he was also head of Jewish court over there. So he was in a connection with him. And as I mentioned before, Rav Moshe Yehuda Kolonimos and some European rabbis. Besefer 150 דרשות, 150 sermons. המחבר כותב שרצה להדפיס 5 דרושים על פי פרשה, אך העלה הייתה גבוה. So I think ideally, in an ideal world, he would have wanted like 5 different, let's just say, sermons. But I think, obviously, that point in time, printing was not like nowadays, with as much opportunities. It was a whole science in itself to print a book at that stage in time, and very, very expensive and costly. Over there, but there was definitely a wealth bank of information to give over. המחבר קרא לספר יד יוסף מפני שיגע ובדק בו ככל שהיד מגעת יד המנהל של הספר מכיל רק דרושים שלו, ולא לקט. Over here, that's very, very interesting. So it's just a brilliance within regards to the book, and I think it's stated in other places. Now, it's actually interesting. They say, הספר פופולרי מאוד בקרב הדרשנים, והוא מצוטט בין השאר בהקדמת לפרי מקדים. I think the quoting with regards to let's say the preface of the famous book, the Pri Megadim. It's not a book that we learn about very much. It's actually an authorship of the Shulchan Aruch on the Orach Chaim and Yoreh Deah. I think it was actually written through Rabbi Yosef Tzarfati, who was a famous rabbi of his time. The Pri Megadim is, and in most Shulchan Aruchs you'll actually find the book respectively. I think it was actually printed in Berlin, if I'm not mistaken. It will come out over there, and he was the author was a great rabbi. Also, Rabbi Yosef Tzarfati, I think, happened to be one of the great rabbis and great authors of Shulchan Aruch, and he was a rabbi actually in Frankfurt, if I'm not mistaken. So that's just as next thing. Okay, so הספר פופולרי מאוד בקרב הדרשנים והוא מצוטט בין השאר בהקדמת הפרי מקדים בספר תולדות יעקב יוסף. This was אמרי אמת בספרי בן ישי ועוד רבים. קיימת הגהות של רבי יעקב בן צור והרבה. So Rabbi Yaakov Ibn Sur, another rabbi we've spoken about before, was a popular darshan Kabbalist in itself. He lived till the year 1752, so he was born actually in the year 1673, about 33 years after Rabbi Yosef Tzarfati had actually passed away. So that's interesting to point out. Okay, now it's actually interesting. Harab Ezra Batri arach likut ma'sefer u'parsamo tachat Hashem pnei Yad Yosef. This was, I think, through the Machon HaKtav Yerushalayim. This was printed in Tafshin Ayin Aleph. So very interesting. Rabbi Ezra Batri, another great rabbi, the Batri family, in of itself, very famous family. He himself is still alive. I think he was born in the year 1937. He's currently 88 years of age. He's head of Jerusalem court in Jerusalem, the author of many different great books. He was he's actually the son of Rabbi Yosef Tzarfati, interesting enough, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, somehow descends, I mean, maybe not directly, but I mean through a close family connection to Chacham Yosef Chaim, the author of the Ben Ish Chai, very, very great rabbi. And also, I think he's also descends from the famous Rabbi Yehuda Fataya, let's just say. He actually, Rabbi Ezra Batri, just go on a tangent, he learned in the Yeshivat Yosef from the age of 14 under the auspices of Rabbi Ezra Atiyah and the likes of Rabbi Yehuda Tzadka and Rabbi Yitzchak Nisim, really great rabbis. Remember, Rabbi Yitzchak Nisim was a Rishon LeZion of Israel, and he was just in the year 1971 he was appointed a Dayan in I think in Rehovot, and were taking various different important roles, including in Haifa, respectively. Had connections with the famous Rishon LeZion's Rabbi Batri did, and his wife is actually Rabbanit Sima Batri. She sadly passed away, I believe, back in reported of in February 2021, and various different great books Rav Batri actually has printed, including Dinei Mamonot, Dinei Ishot, Sefer Otzaot, Torah Tatara, Sharei Ezra, various different important works in of itself. So he would actually, Rav Ezra Batri, Arach Le'akut Ma'sefer U'Porisamot Tachat Hashem, Pnei Yad Yosef, Machon HaKtav in Jerusalem. So once again connected very much to the great rabbi speaking today, Rabbi Yosef Tzarfati. בהקדמה לספר הוא מציין לעוד מספר חיבורים שחיבר אך לא הצליח להוציא אותם לאור. I think various books he wanted to print, but he didn't at the end, including Rosh Yosef, the Subshatim on the Torah, respectively. This happened to have been another one, the Ben Yosef, which is Droshim Nosfim ala Torah, more drashot, let's just say, with regards to the Torah, and the Mateh Yosef Chidushei, and it says in the approximation is Gimel Pei Taf. It says Hi Surotadaf היסודות של התלמוד עמוד וס. הבנויה מתכסת התלמוד מרכז פירושי רש"י ותוספות משנה צדדי. Very, very much respectively over here. So he was a famous rabbi. We're going to go on and speak more about a few of the highlights of his book, but just to point out sources who would actually bring him down, important sources that will actually bring him down, includes I think Rabbi Shimon Yosef Glickman, the famous Rabbi Shlomo Rosanis, who was one of the great Sephardic Jewish historians in the last couple of 100 years, a researcher with regards to history of the Jews in Ottoman Empire and the Balkans. He happened to be also another rabbi that will bring him down is Rabbi Shmuel Girondi, who I think is another historian to some specific degree in of itself. And if I'm not mistaken, Rabbi Shmuel Yosef Fine, if I'm not mistaken, he was more connected, I believe, to the Haskalah movement, but he would actually bring down some of his teachings. If I'm not mistaken, he was, I think, he was an editor of various different journals also, just to point out over here. So that's very, very interesting. But we could say more stuff, importances with regards to famous Rabbi Yosef Tzarfati. He was obviously a great rabbi. The Tzarfati family itself was a rabbinic dynasty. I don't know if he descends directly from those great rabbis, but that would be actually very, very interesting. So, just to clarify, it was a Diran area itself, I think, borders not just Turkey, also Greece and Bulgaria in of his time. So that's very interesting. And he would learn under the head of the yeshiva, I think, of the sages at that point in time. He would study Torah. That was Mishnah, and the study of Talmud and Torah, respectively. So he was really, really imbuing himself in the realms of halacha constantly. And free time, Shabbat, let's say on itself, he would study. He would give various different Torah classes all throughout different places. When he was traveling to Eretz Yisrael, I believe he learned in the famous yeshiva of Chacham Shlomo ben Yitzchak HaLevi, one of the great rabbis of Salonika in Greece of his time. And I think Rabbi David Conforti, another famous rabbi, will testify in his book with regards to his greatness. And I think after a window of time in the land of Israel, he would actually, Eretz Yisrael, he would return to the city of Adrianople, if I'm not mistaken. So obviously the books are very, very great, especially Yad Yosef on the sermons, respectively, and all different Seftei Shinim, I think, which is connected to Rabbi Shabtai Bas, if I'm not mistaken, Matei Yosef, which gives explanations of serious issues, especially in the Gemara, in the Rashi and Tosfot, respectively. They passed away, obviously, we said before, in 1640, 385 years ago, approximately, on the 4th of Cheshvan, I believe, it's actually reported over. Let's explore a few of the highlights from his book. So one of the teachings actually says inside the book, Melamed Av Sharo'o Legufno Lo Meitu Biadenu Lemol Atzmenu. So what's his teaching saying? First of all, that comes from the Yad Yosef, respectively, Parshat Tzav. I think it's the third drasha over there. I think very much featured in page 196. This book, I believe, was printed back in the year 1700, just using the Homey website, let's just say, as a resource within regards to this specific teaching, looking at the teaching highlights in of itself. Now, another teaching he would give over inside the book is Melamed Shnifrad Leva Achim Ein Birkat Avihem Yechola Lechol Alehem. This, I think, was printed. It's the 29th page. Once again, in the Yad Yosef, I think it's encompassing Parshat Chayesara, the Torah portion of Chayesara, the fifth portion in the book of Bereshit. Now, another teaching. Melamed Dayenu Shekaninu Ha'achdut Afilu Lo Natan Lanu Et HaTorah. The importance of Achdut, unity, once again from Yad Yosef, concentrated from Parshat Chayesara. I think it's the third drasha over there. That very much is number 29, daf number 29, respectively. Yeah, so very, very interesting. So this book, as we said before, was printed back in the year 1700. Another teaching, Melamed Shelo Tachul Al Hamekablim Ota Im Lo Yimtza Bahem Hachana. This one again from the Yad Yosef book, from Parshat Beshalach, this time fourth parsha, in the book of Shemot. I think coming from page number 72 over there, respectively. Another teaching, I think this teaching I'm about to say is from Parshat Vayishlach in the Yad Yosef. I think now we're talking about page 55 territory over here. Melamed Ma'alata She'eretz Yisrael Bahar Ve'en Sholet Ba Ha'ifush. Just importance with regards to the land of Israel, Eretz Yisrael in of itself. One last teaching, let's explore. Actually, once again from the book of Bereshit, from Parshat Vayigash. I think once again the third drasha. It states over in the Yad Yosef. Melamed Lehidmot L'Shorashim Liot Be'eshanim Rachmanim Gomlei Chasim. The importance, let's just say, with regards to acts of kindness in of itself, and another nice important teaching, let's just say, in of itself. So it was a great Rabbi Yosef Tzarfati, Rabbi I believe we've spoken about before, one of the great Turkish rabbis of his specific time, let's just say, respectively. He was you can see the amounts he achieved in his life. And he was at a time period of the 1600s, a fast-moving time period all across the world. And, we mentioned him, I believe, on various occasions before. So it'll be actually interesting to know. I've actually got a list of rabbis over here from the Tzarfati family. So I wonder if they all happen to be related or not. That would be actually very interesting. But we could actually find out over here, because thank God we've got like a lot of resources all over various different places and books respectively. So it's not that difficult to research within regards to especially the family history, or which rabbis were connected, and so on and so forth. So I think among the Tzarfati family, if I'm not mistaken, Rabbi Eliyahu Tzarfati was another famous rabbi of his time, a rabbi in Fez. There was Rabbi Avnei Yisrael Tzarfati. I don't think we spoke about him. Another famous Mukubal, Rabbi Vidal Tzarfati Chamishi, for example, a rabbi we spoke about before. They actually say that the people with the last name Tzarfati, many of them would actually descend from Rashi, and would be the grandson even of Rabbeinu Tam. Rav Yochanan Hasanla apparently is a connection. Rabban Gamliel Azaken, it could have been an ancestor, and Hillel Azaken, respectively. But a lot can be learned within regards to this famous family. I think many of them will come from places, I think in France as well, hence the name Tzarfati over there. Some would say that they were part in Toldo at one stage in time before the Inquisition, and many of them will actually arrive in North Africa. And within regards to history, I think the Chida, Rabbi Yosef Tzarfati, in his book of the Shema Gedolim, will bring Mevi Masoret Shebnei HaMishpacha Mityachasim LeRabbeinu Tam Nechado Shel Rashi. So apparently they descend from both Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam. But Darko LeRabbi Yochanan Sandler VeLeDavid HaMelech. This is absolutely phenomenal over here. That's what is brought down over there about that. I can see on Wikipedia there's as much of a list of 33 to 34 rabbis with this actual last name, especially Rabbi Raphael Tzarfati. Would be, I think, the last one listed here. He was a Posek Halacha Rabbi of Mazagan, the Ozda, also in Morocco, and in, very, very interesting. I think he was the author of the Minchat Patim, if I'm not mistaken, and Mishpat Katuv, respectively. So very interesting. Of his friends, it's a special edition here. We're speaking about famous Rabbi Yosef Tzarfati, a great rabbi of his time. Now, friends, we are a community here. We're learning about great rabbis of yesteryear. Now, if you descend from any of the famous rabbis we happen to be speaking about here in this series, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information from the rabbi, and anything you've got, any more information you feel I've left out, you feel I should have maybe included, I really, really appreciate it. And thanks very much. Now, obviously, we are learning, we're growing together on this channel. We do many importance. We are also working on Israel advocacy in this channel. We tour all over Israel. We do videos of famous archaeology and places in Eretz Israel that really, really aspires and just does huge amounts of work. Now, we do short clips also, shorts, very mini tours, and of inspiration. That's something else that we have to point out over here within us, that not just within stories of the righteous section, like especially today where we're speaking about righteous rabbis. Over here we've done several videos. Actually today we're exploring the Talmudic academies in various different countries, especially of yesteryear. So that's another thing that we have to very much let's say point out over here, and we're doing a lot more to for Am Yisrael, constantly education and learning and teaching and inspiring, and that's what our main motto is, to be an educational source. We'll try our best to be a reliable source for information of yesteryear, and really exploring Judaism and promoting it to the highest levels. So that's also very, very interesting. So thanks everyone for watching. We happen to be, I'm recording this here at the time of Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan, the new Hebrew month, so I wish you all in advance a Chodesh Shalom Varach, a happy new month. Take care, and thank you very much for spending the time to watch. And also another favor, I'm just asking all you fantastic people that are watching at the moment, please subscribe to the channel. We are nearing as many as 7,500 subscribers, which is a phenomenal achievement. I don't think when we started this endeavor I think it was nearly 3.5 years ago, we would have ever imagined we would be at the level we are at the moment. So I appreciate all the fantastic feedback all of you are giving, all the greatness, all the help, especially within regards to researching. And first of all, you need listeners to become a great channel itself and a great resource. So thank God we are gaining visitors and people watching and people following the channel. So wishing you well, blessings from Israel, and Chodesh Tov Rach. Thank you for watching.